Hi, everybody. It's Lori Lowe, and welcome to The Sacred Binge. This is a podcast in which I talk about the subject of binge eating disorder, sometimes called food use disorder. And so, what I wanted to share today, we just got past Thanksgiving, and I wanted to talk about the phenomenon of binging and really the pain of it, the pain of having a food use disorder or being a serial dieter, constantly in pursuit of thinness, and yet we still fall back on using food to tune out, to soothe, to comfort, to try to meet unmet needs. So the phenomenon of that, there's a number of reasons why that is such a painful, torturous disorder to have. And in Buddhist psychology, it's considered there are three arrows of suffering that get attached to habits that are not good habits for us. When we have harmful habits and addictions to try to satisfy ourselves in some way or to soothe ourselves in some way. And the first one is this arrow of just participating. The arrow of suffering is around the fact that using food to try to soothe ourselves, it's a temporary relief. It doesn't work for very long. That first arrow of suffering is all about the fact that it's temporary. It doesn't work, and that just creates more suffering. The second kind of arrow of suffering in Buddhist philosophy is that person who is grasping and trying to find comfort and trying to ease suffering through using, contracting around this habit and looping around this habit doesn't like itself. And there is shame associated with being somebody who uses this substance to try to soothe. There's tremendous shame. And I've talked about that a lot in previous podcasts. The fact that until we can find a way to just say, hey, I've got this disorder, and take that shame away from it, it's so hard to try to recover. It's so hard to try to be at peace with ourselves. It's so hard to let ourselves to just recognize that I have a binge eating disorder and begin to try to heal our lives. You can't do that if you're stuck in such a terrible shame. For years, I binged privately, and I chose to actually live a great deal of my life alone because I needed the privacy in a home where nobody else was around so I could engage in this disorder. And so there was such shame around that and such feeling of not being a proper normal person, and shame about the weight gain that typically accompanies being a binge eater, that I would try to sort of purge myself of that shame by going on constant diets. I had to restrict all the time. And that's why binging and restricting, for those of us that have binge eating disorder, is so intricately tied up together. And so the third kind of arrow of suffering, again, in the Buddhist philosophy, is that we miss out on life while we're engaged in that loop. We lose productivity. We're not living a life. And I struggle a lot with this. I think about it a lot now, because I think about all the years that I was binging, that I wasn't living a life, that I wasn't exploring a life. I wasn't doing the things that I was supposed to be doing. I wasn't walking toward my North Star, the thing that I am very uniquely called to do in this life. And I believe that all of us are uniquely called. And when we feel discomfort of any kind and we cover that up or try to soothe ourselves with any kind of addiction, we blind ourselves and numb ourselves to our calling. And so that's whole chunks of life spent not being productive and not being connected to our family and our friends, not being connected to nature, not being connected to ourselves in the most primary way, which is, what do I need and want? What do I most want that I'm so afraid of having or so afraid of trying to have that I will choose food and tuning out rather than allow myself to have that. There's lots of different ways why we might tune out. That's one that I certainly have. So again, just coming off of Thanksgiving, it makes me think about why this disorder is so profoundly painful and what it robs us of, what we believe it will deliver. And that's why we continue looping around it over and over and over again. And then what the reality is that it delivers false comfort, creates tremendous shame, and robs us of parts of our huge chunks of life that we could be applying to, just being, for that matter. Don't even have to do anything, but we can just really be uniquely with ourselves and feel who we are and what we really want in a really profound way. It's funny, as I'm talking to you about this, I'm sensing some what I call mouth hunger that is driven by a desire to tune out, to get into this loop around food. And as I said, I'm talking to you about this now, for whatever reason, it's stirring up memories of the comfort that comes from binging and tuning out. So one little final thing I want to say, which is, by all means, don't start a journey toward awareness around food use disorder and why you have it. Don't start it out by going on a diet, or don't start it out by saying, nope, I'm not going to binge, I'm not going to overeat, I'm not going to do whatever. This is the time to not take away food from yourself. And instead of taking away food, take away the shame. And take away expectation of relief of discomfort. Just eat to nourish, eat if you need it to comfort, whatever. Just do it and realize that, hey, I'm comforted for one moment and now I'm not. And don't let that be shameful, and don't let that be surprising. And don't let that stop the process of being aware of who and what you are. And don't let it, so it robs you of awareness, robs you of productivity and living the life you have. So just go forward and be gentle about this. Do it with awareness and allow yourself to experience the whole thing without shame. Make this a shame-free day. So that's what I have to say today, this day after Thanksgiving. And I'm wishing you the best. I look forward to your comments on this podcast. And until then, bye-bye. Have a great day.